Hey guys, it's John, host of MGTOW is Freedom. It's off to work. Hi ho, hi ho, I'm gonna go kick some ass today. I have the penis. But I couldn't step out the door, not without doing this video with you guys. I couldn't do it. I actually watched something. It was one of these Bachelor shows. There we go, The Bachelor. I caught a commercial or some promo or some crap, and I thought, obvious shallow gold digging whores, but it's TV and that appeals to a lot of women. And I started thinking about it, what about these women? Well, first, that show's creating a lot more interest in being a gold digger. That's actually teaching women, direct teaching, instruction on how to be a manipulating gold digging whore. And I can just imagine that when the bachelorette is with the bachelor and she's trying to sell herself and she goes back to do her makeup later and her hair, I bet she's fucking grumbling and pissed off. Right? Oh my God, I can't believe that other girl. She's totally lying and fooling him and I'm honest, right? What a bunch of horse shit. And that's the drama of gold digging suckitude. It's just fucking disgusting. But I started thinking about it. I thought, well, what would a man do in that situation? And let's get rid of the way out television and just go into regular life. What if a man were to look at a woman as a piggy bank? Right? What are women really capable of making? Not as much as men, right? Women even complain about that. They just don't, on average, make anywhere near what men do. So, if a man were to look at a woman who's making $100,000 a year, and he says, if I marry that whore, I'll take half of her money. She's making 100, I'll get 50. Yeah, that's it. Right? And he's like, wait, 50,000, what am I going to do with that? In real life, women don't accumulate wealth. They spend wealth. So she's never going to be worth more than 100. Are you going to waste 10 years of your life for 50,000? Fuck no. Men say, I'm going to go out and make my own money. I'm going to go kick some ass. I'm going to get it done myself. I don't need a woman to make money. Right? I don't need to mooch and be a parasite on that. That's disgusting. It destroys his self-esteem, his sense of worth and value. But what if a man saw a woman making $1 million a year? Right? And I know that's really, 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 really rare. But now we're talking about an income disparity. The man's here, he's like, yeah, I'm kicking ass. And then he meets this chick. She's making $1 million a year somehow. I don't know what the fuck she's doing, but she's making $1 million a year. And she decides she likes this guy who's only making, 100,000 a year. And he's like, well, in my career, realistically planning, typing things out, looking at it, he's going, I'm never going to be worth $1 million a year. And he says, what I can do is I can marry her, stay with her for 10 years, take half of her shit and make her pay me alimony. And he's like, yeah, got me a sugar mama. Sugar mama. That's exactly what women do. It's exactly what they do. They look at us, men, as a paycheck because in the real world where you and I live, we make our income. But compared to a woman, it's way up here. And they look at us as a massive source of income that they can never attain because they don't want to put the effort into it. They quit. They don't work long hours. Right? They don't apply themselves. They're always in drama and fighting and fucking around. Right? They don't take it. They don't have initiative. They're not creative. They always get stuck. But men, we can start high and then ratchet our way up. Right? With dedication, hard work, creativity. So women look at us, literally, as an economic opportunity. A piggy bank. And we're always worth more. Men like to save money. Men like to accumulate real wealth. Men like to invest. We're good at it. That's what we do. That's why civilization has grown. Now, leaving all the negative parts of civilization out, looking at the individual man, we create wealth. That is why women want men. That is why women seek marriage from men. Now, if we drop back to the 1800s, let's go back to the 1700s. Here men are making all this wealth, and then they see this woman coming along, and she's like, I want to marry you, I want to marry you. And he's like, he looks down at her and goes, I'm not wasting my money on you. Right? And so she goes away. He says, I'm making money. If I want a piece of ass, I'm going to go to a whorehouse. But I got to take care of me first and my needs, and I'm not going to give my money away. It's that mentality where he looked down at her and she looked up and he said, no way, right? Or no way. And she's like, oh, please, please. This is John's hand puppets here. And this is why the feminist movement killed prostitution. The morality movement killed prostitution. Because they wanted to say that it's bad, right? But all throughout the Bible, men had multiple wives, there was prostitution, and it was all accepted. There was a rule against selling your daughter into prostitution. But that's different than your daughter having to go into prostitution all by herself. You just weren't supposed to sell her into it. But selling your daughter to a rich guy to merge your families and through marriage, yeah, that's not prostitution. Okay, so a little sketchy there in the old Bible. But definitely, prostitution's always been around, always accepted, always been good because it's good for the man. Killed prostitution, men looked down and went, oh, God, I got to marry this whore. But, right, so she's up, she takes his shit. That's where we're at. But seriously, if you had an opportunity to marry a billionaire, would you not? Right, you wouldn't have to work. You'd get all that money. Then you could divorce the bitch and take it. That's how women see you. But what does that do, right? Let's look at what that type of mentality does. Here you are up here, you, the man, the penis, the balls, right? The brains, the muscles. And here's the woman down here going, if I only had more money, right? I just want more money and more stuff so I can impress my friends, right? I need to impress them all that I'm really a good whore and that I can steal a man's shit. And so the guy's up here, and she sees him, right? She looks up and sees him. Oh, man, I'm getting lost in this, right? So she gets him to marry her, right? Now they're together. They're in love. He makes the money. She doesn't. She wants the money, and so she tricks him into giving it to him, guilts him, shames him, complains, motivates him through social means, right? You need to have a nicer car and a nicer house in a better neighborhood, right? So he gets more and more in debt trying to satisfy the woman's keeping up with the Joneses bullshit. And that's a whole nother thing, keeping up with the Joneses. I bet there's a really good explanation on there. But back to the woman. What does this do to her mentality? I've talked about how women are irresponsible and immoral. Irresponsible, immoral. Irresponsible, immoral. Man up here, they marry him. They're given money. Right? And they are given money and no responsibility. And they're given power. And they're not held accountable. Women through marriage to men don't improve themselves. They continue to be immoral and irresponsible. In today's relationship, today's modern world. The woman gets everything without working for it. That is immoral. They see a man as a piggy bank and they marry him for money, for material needs. That's immoral. And then it's encouraged by them receiving what they want and not being held accountable. Right? Period. By accountable, I mean the guy accepts the fact that he should be in more and more debt as he gets older rather than having assets, investing in himself, real things, and improving his position. That's what happens. And so that encourages a woman's immorality. And it encourages her not to improve herself, not to become more intelligent. And then I've got this situation, this dilemma here at this point. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I need it. Oh, yeah. Okay, that encourages her to not become more responsible or moral. But here's where my argument is that women start off immoral and they start off irresponsible. And they demonstrate a willingness to get into a relationship with a man because she's down here and she sees his money up here and she wants that. So her motivation is immoral. She's not learning anything. She gets up here with him together. She remains immoral and she brings her immorality into the relationship. Her secret agenda of taking his money, using his money, and then destroying him ultimately in a divorce. Because once she gets up to here with him, she's like, "Yay, hi, honey." And he's like, "Hey, what's up, baby?" Right? I mean, let's just symbolically move them down here, right? She puts him in debt, brings him down. And then she sees his boss, his friend. She sees another rung higher on the ladder in the social hierarchy, socio-economic hierarchy. And so she quits looking at her husband, starts looking up here at this guy. "Oh my God, even more money." And he's like, "Hey, baby, I'll fuck you, and I'm stupid enough to give you my money." And she gets up to this guy. That's what they do, right? Climbing the ladder. It's not the corporate ladder, right? It's the whore ladder. And they literally climb up and cling. But men, I've got to tell you, I tried to teach my ex-wife to be responsible with money and to teach her morality. I utterly failed. If I can explain all this shit in these videos and you guys can understand me, so that means I'm making some kind of sense, why couldn't I teach her? 20 plus years trying to explain it to her. This is how it works. You don't quit your fucking job unless you have a better job to replace it. Oh shit, maybe she took that on the men. Don't replace your man unless you have a better man to replace him. Whoops, maybe she did learn. She learned how to be even better at being immoral. But for the most part, true morality, that is something that women cannot learn. I'm sure religious people try scaring women with the thoughts of burning in hell. That doesn't stop them. Hasn't worked very well. I mean, it's just not a good system. It hasn't been a good system. Right? I've seen in my life how I brought this woman along with me, and she got up to where she's making a good income, and she monkey branched out of that, or whore climbed the ladder to another guy. And the problem she had with me is she couldn't control me. Not to the extent she wanted. Right? She felt like I'm out of control. Right? I couldn't be controlled, but she calls it out of control. She wanted that control of someone else. She wanted a man-slave. Well, she got one. So that took a lot of stress off of her. Now, this is interesting, right? Here's her stress level with John, right? She's always fighting with me, always fighting with me, always fighting with me, right? She wants total, absolute control down here. Just easy cruising along. She couldn't get that with me, right? She wanted it easier. She wanted all the things she wanted easier. So she got rid of me and found another guy, less stress for her. What does this other guy do? Everything she says, he's going to hand over all of his money. She's going to own him with a lot less effort on her part. All right, but what's she doing? Once again, she's doing the immoral thing, the irresponsible thing. She's not accepting responsibility for herself. She's not improving herself. She's getting what she wants. And isn't that what all good materialists think? If I robbed banks for a living, I would know that I'm stealing other people's money and I'm hurting others, and I wouldn't feel very good about it. I would know that I was immoral. I would live comfortably as a successful materialist, right? I want stuff and I found a way to get it easy, but it's still immoral, and that would kill me in the heart, right? I'm cheating, lying, and stealing, right? I'm hurting others, but I'm getting what I want. That's what women are like. They're willing to do that in general because feminism has taught women to be immoral and benefit by it and feel good about yourself. Go girl. What's the moral of the story? If you're going to have any relationship with a woman, understand that she's down here, you're up here. She's looking up at you saying, I want what you have. I want it, I want it, I want it. And she doesn't want you, she wants your money. And you're looking down at her saying, is this woman going to take care of me? Is she going to give me the blowjob and sandwich regimen I require? And she's like, I'll do anything. And then there's parentheses that you don't hear. To get your shit. Right? And then you get together with her. That's what they want. MGTOW. I want this and that. You're like, I want a blowjob and a sandwich. And she's like, I'll give you that. And so you take it from her and you're like, now get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, right? I've discovered you're not a good girl. You're a whore. So go. And she gets mad and goes off. This is probably my best hand puppet video I have ever done. I think I'm going to have to get some fucking colored socks, right? A guy sock and a whore sock. I think that could be really fucking great. I bet that would piss women off altogether. And they go, see, men are reduced to making puppets and doing puppet pantomimes to describe us. And they're so immature. Oh my God. Oh, they're fucking ridiculous creatures. Oh, man. You know, you're a piggy bank. You're a piggy bank. Right? Women are immoral. Women are irresponsible. They just look at you as money and they're going to move on afterwards. They're going to pretend they love you. They're going to say words that they don't really mean. They're going to say words that they can change their mind about, and they're going to steal your shit. Right? But would you do the same? You know, would you? Not for a billionaire woman, right? A billionaire woman is not going to want us down here. The billionaire woman's like, I want a billionaire man. I want a trillionaire man. I gave that billionaire woman a deep voice because she thinks she's a man, right? Right? They're not going to look down at us down here. We're like, hey, baby, right? I'm a hard worker. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. I got all the money in the world. But if we look at it realistically, you're here. You're here. And there's a woman who's making double what you are. Are you going to look up at her and want to steal her money and her shit? Or are you going to say, I'm a man, I'm responsible, I'm hardworking, I have morals, and I'm going to make my own money? That's what happens. We have self-respect, we have pride, we have dignity, we have self-confidence, we have value in ourselves. That's why we make our own way. I have the penis. I do it. Women don't do that. That woman that's making double what you are, she's afraid she's going to lose her job. She's afraid she can't do it forever. She's afraid, and she's fear motivated as far as money goes. She wants someone else's cave. I make all kinds of money. I'm a good catch, right? But she's looking for that guy way the fuck up here that she can go up to and get and then live off of him. Work him, right? That's what they do. They're always socioeconomic ladder climbing. Buyer beware. Men are piggy banks. Men are piggy banks. She looks at you like your money. Semper Fi, gentlemen. Have a great day.